The migrants. We have millions of migrants trapped in an underground economy with no legal protection. They're dying in the desert, being exploited when they get here. And then the new immigrants who come here legally are the ones whose very wages are being undercut by the migrants that are being exploited in the underground economy. But what the victimists do, who profit off exploitation politically, they profit off of it economically, they are always talking about how much they love the vulnerable, how much they love the migrants. I'm Catholic, but our bishops profit incredibly off of the broken border. The USCCB profits incredibly off the broken border. So you see them giving the Catholic imprimatur to broken policies that actually lead to the exploitation of the vulnerable. Once you know that victimism is the mechanism of exploitation, so for example, the climate cult, they tell us that the solution to everything is the EV, the electric vehicle. I call them BVs, blood vehicles. Every electric vehicle has cobalt that was harvested by hand by children as young as 6 in a toxic muck. 80% of the world's cobalt comes from Congo. 80% of the world's cobalt goes to electric vehicles. No electric vehicles, no child forced labor in cobalt mines.
So do we not mine cobalt here?
Well, what we can do is pump oil. Where you have, I'm from Hawaii, and my hobby is boxing and mixed martial arts, and it's this gym I train at. It's a very big sport in Hawaii. It's like our sport.
Yeah.
And a gym I train, there's this Hawaiian boy. He's like just like a Hawaiian young man with a big pickup truck, the big Hawaiian flag driving through the hill country of Texas. I'm like, what brought you to here? He said, I work in the oil fields.
Oh.
I get to buy a house, I get to drive a truck. You know, so you have young men in America making great money, and you have children harvesting cobalt. The most of the emissions on our roads don't come from exhaust from internal combustion engines. Do you know where most of the pollution comes from? The tires of electric vehicles.
Wow.
Because they have to be 30% bigger, they have to be stronger, because the batteries are so heavy. And not to mention, the batteries, once they're dead, are just a toxic cesspool. And I'm not even talking about the lithium that they get from Central America that's devastating their rivers. It's all about the climate,
fires,
all about the environment.
When they can't put out the fire on the electric vehicle, or the fact that they're coming from China and the Chinese manufacturing.
The cobalt mines, the Christian slave children are working at in Congo are owned by the CCP. That's victimism. So once you understand the COVID policy caused the greatest famine since World War II. We didn't talk about that. We talked about our Zoom fatigue, and we're so tired of Uber Eats. The greatest famine since World War II. So once you understand the mechanism is actually exploiting the vulnerable for power, we can reach the average American who may not have been as well-formed as we have been in the principles of liberty, but they do have a heart for vulnerable people. So once you can understand the trick, we can show the magicians, we can point to the magician's trick, the Great Reset will unravel.
Yeah, no, it's a different perspective. You're taking repackaged old ideologies. You've listed 2 of them that are fairly new. I mean, the climate cult and the victimism, they're fairly new. But you've got 3 more that you covered: Gnosticism, transhumanism, and anti-humanism. And I want to cover those. We have to take a break. But when we come back, I'd like to talk about those other 3. And then I want to dive into how do we address the culture so we can educate people, and then what solutions can we bring to stop the Great Reset and go back to the truth of Christ.
Thank you.